Good morning, everybody. Welcome to KRQE News 13 this morning. I'm Adam Atchison.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Krista Gutierrez. Thank you for joining us on this Tuesday, January 6th. It is 6 o'clock in the morning. We have a lot of news we're covering this morning, including we have information on the cop shooter. But first, I want to get to that forecast. Kristen Curry's been tracking some warmer temps.
How are they shaping up today, Kristen?
Not too bad. Still a little chilly now, but you can see we're a good 9 degrees warmer this morning compared to yesterday. And all that yellow and orange indicating most of us warmer at this hour compared to how we started on our Monday. Now, it still leaves us in the 20s and 30s, but at least we're warming up with those afternoon temperatures from the mid 40s yesterday. We're even looking at that at lunchtime and above that later on today with those high temperatures climbing into the low to mid 50s. Light winds today with plenty of sunshine. Cold front arrives tonight, and we're talking a big flip-flop in the forecast, especially those of us across the eastern plains. I'll have details on that temperature swing coming up here in about 15 minutes.
We'll see then. Police, meantime, are gearing up for another day today in the search for a man accused of gunning down an APD officer.
That's right, and now the department says they have a person of interest in the shooting. News 13's Catherine Zone has been following updates to the story for the past 2 days now. Good morning, Catherine.
Good morning, Crystal. Now, we learned officers received the name of someone they want to talk to about this case from investigators. But they say they don't want to release his name just yet because they're not certain he's the shooter. Now, take a look at these photos again. We showed them to you yesterday. This is the man police say struck Officer Lou Golson twice before taking off. The DWI officer and 31-year veteran of the department is still in the hospital. Chief Eden says he will be for quite a while. Now, it was Golson's lapel camera that caught these grainy images of the suspect.
And the video lasts just very few seconds. The officer exited his vehicle. He approaches the vehicle. Shots are fired. The officer returns fire, and the suspect flees. It happens very, very quickly.
The FBI has a hold of that video now as they try to make those images a little more clear. Right now, it's one of the few clues investigators have. The suspect's gun, however, was recovered at the scene, is now in APD's forensic lab. Police say they checked the surveillance from the dealership on Wyoming near Lomas. Now, that's where the suspect is said to have stolen the SUV he was driving Saturday when the shooting happened. But so far, they say they didn't find anything that could help them. Back to you, Crystal.
All right, thanks for that information, Catherine. Now the reward for information leading to an arrest has nearly doubled. Here are some facts regarding that new reward. U.S. Marshals say they are now offering up to $10,000. That's on top of the $7,000 offered by the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. Now, we're continuing to follow the latest on the search for that shooter. Stay with KRQE for the very latest up-to-the-minute coverage. Remember to check out related stories, including pictures and video, over on our website, krqe.com.
Time is 6:03. Investigators are looking into what caused a plane crash in New Mexico, killing a couple on their way to Colorado. 22-year-old Alicia Beauchamp and her boyfriend, who was flying that plane, were both killed. The couple took off from the Austin area, heading to Pacosa Springs, Colorado, when the plane went down near Vaughn. Beauchamp's mother was worried about her daughter flying in rough weather.
My daughter gave me the tail number because that's something that I wanted to track myself. And she did what she wanted to do, and nobody was going to stop her. So I told her not to go.
The couple took off last Monday, and the wreckage was found New Year's Day. A preliminary report on the cause of that crash is expected by the end of the week. The little girl who survived a plane crash in Illinois is back in her hometown today with relatives who plan to raise her. 7-year-old Sailor Gutzler managed to pull herself from the upside-down wreckage of her family's plane. Her parents, sister, and cousin were all killed in that crash, but Sailor not only managed to survive, she walked nearly a mile in the rough terrain of Kentucky. Larry Wilkins, the man who helped rescue her, says he can't believe that.
When you consider what she just walked through, and she had just seen her parents and her sister and her cousin, they're all three were dead. You know, it's amazing.
Sailor was barefooted and only wearing short sleeves and shorts. The girl was also injured when she walked through the woods in 30-degree weather.
What a remarkable story. Listen to this unbelievable story. After a passenger survives being ejected from an SUV on I-25, then is thrown onto the median below. It happened during rush hour yesterday. Video from Sky News 13 shows a traffic backup. Police say the driver lost control, rolled this white SUV as he was heading south on I-25 near Ellison. The passenger was thrown suffered major injuries but is expected to survive. His condition is said to be stable. He's only 30 years old, but now has added his 16th drunk driving arrest to his record. Farmington police say Lawrence Pine was involved in a fight at a local Hastings store on New Year's Eve. He then drove off with 2 kids in his car. Police say he was swerving down Main Street and hit a parked car before finally stopping at a gas station. That's where he was arrested. Here's a few facts Pine will have to come to terms with, along with his 16th DWI. Officers say he's also now charged with 2 counts of child abuse. On top of that, an escape charge for attempting to run from police during a blood draw. The state's largest school district has a big decision ahead of it.
They'll be choosing a new superintendent soon, and the district wants your help. Albuquerque Public Schools is conducting an online survey where students, parents, teachers, and community members can choose characteristics that they feel the district's next leader should have. The district is also hosting public meetings and forums later this month to discuss the search for a new superintendent. Right now, Brad Winter is the interim one in that position. He was given that role after Winston Brooks resigned from the post in August after the board bought out the last 2 years of his contract. Maybe you want to take the survey yourself. We posted a link to that website. Just go to krqe.com and click on KRQE links. Developing this morning, the new Congress convenes in our nation's capital. Republicans now have control of both the House and the Senate after last year's election. And that means battles are on the horizon for the president when it comes to things like the Keystone XL oil pipeline, immigration reform, health care. Senator Mitch McConnell becomes the new majority leader, and House Speaker John Boehner could be returning to his post as Speaker of the House following an official vote today. Overseas stock markets are falling right now. After a big slump on Wall Street, traders will look to rally after the worst down day for the Dow Jones Industrial Average in 3 months. The blue chip index dropped 331 points yesterday to 17,501. The Nasdaq lost 74. The S&P suffered its worst one-day decline in 3 months, closing at 2,020. Experts say the drop in crude oil prices might be to blame for the down day. Yesterday, they fell down below $50 a barrel. Oil prices could mean a global economic slowdown. Also, Europe is grappling with yet another economic meltdown. It's interesting to see how the ripple effect can happen across the globe when one thing happens.
Ouch. Good morning. Paying to find a cop shooter. Law enforcement agencies pitching in reward money to find the gunman.
Also this morning, what drivers in the metro say is the most dangerous problem on our area roads.
And watch out below what caused this massive landslide that shifted homes off of foundations. Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible video. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to KRQE News 13 this morning. I'm Crystal Gutierrez.
I'm Adam Atchison. It's Tuesday, January 6th. We're going to get to those stories, if not stutter, as we start this morning. But let's get over to the weather first. Let Kristen take it away, huh?
Yeah, not too bad. As far as the temperatures, we're warmer this morning, and really that warm trend continues this afternoon. You can see we're a good 9 degrees warmer already. Even better up in Raton and even Tucumcari, 20 degrees warmer right now, but still a little chilly, so don't forget the jacket. 20s and 30s out there. 33 degrees is where we're starting off our day. Later today, we're talking low 50s as afternoon high temperatures. Plenty of sunshine and big changes on the way. We got a cold front moving in tonight, and it's going to blast the eastern plains with that cold Arctic air. So really get ready for the changes. And that's not the only one. We have yet another front moving in later on this week, and that's looking to bring an even bigger change to us here in the metro area. Friday, looking to be the coldest day of the next 7. I'll have details on those temperature swings coming up here in about 15 minutes.
All right, Kristen, 6:30 now. New developments in the search for a driver who opened fire on an Albuquerque police officer. The reward to find him is now more than doubled. Police say Officer Lou Golson pulled a suspected drunk driver over near San Mateo and Montgomery early Saturday before he was shot twice. U.S. Marshals are now offering up to $10,000 for information that leads to an arrest. That's on top of the $7,000 offered by the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms.
And the video lasts just very few seconds. The officer exited his vehicle. He approaches the vehicle. Shots are fired. The officer returns fire, and the suspect flees. It happens very, very quickly.
Golson, a 31-year veteran of the department, is still recovering in the hospital this morning, and News 13 has learned that police do have a person of interest in the case. Officers received the name of that person from investigators, but they have not released the name to the public because they say that they're not certain he is the shooter.
And meanwhile, New York City is once again on edge this morning after 2 more cops there were shot. New video this morning gives a better look at that shooter. At this time, officials are saying they do not believe these officers were targeted. Both in plain clothing were responding to a robbery call at a store. After pulling the possible suspect's car over, they were shot, one in the elbow, the other in the back. Both are at the hospital this morning with non-life-threatening injuries, but one is still critical. Police are still searching for this person in this surveillance footage who they believe to be the shooter. Now, this comes as NYPD is still dealing with the loss of 2 officers who were shot and killed while sitting in their patrol car last month. Police say they were targeted. And we continue to follow developing news that we told you about yesterday morning. A 19-year-old man is in critical condition after being shot in northwest Albuquerque. APD says they're looking for as many as 3 suspects in this case. It happened Sunday night near Paseo del Norte and Golf Course. The victim's name has not been released at this time. Detectives say they are in the process of interviewing witnesses.
Transportation leaders turn to the experts to learn about the biggest problems facing drivers these days on the roads, drivers themselves. The Mid-Region Metropolitan Planning Organization is looking ahead to 2040 now, trying to form a long-range plan to make sure transportation keeps up with the growing and changing population. Nearly 70% of people surveyed say the biggest problem is actually other drivers.
The usual texting on the phone, eating, putting on makeup, the cutter-inners, just people not paying attention, really.
There's a lot of people not using turn signals, people making illegal turns. It's not safe a lot of times.
Second to bad drivers came in traffic congestion. Coming in third, poor road conditions, like potholes.
Speaking of drivers, this morning many of you will use the new Paseo flyover and might notice some serious wear and tear there. It's not even a month old, but the state says drivers are already causing some damage.
The project was $93 million, and they're already marking it up. What can I say?
Now, the speed limit is 40 miles an hour, but we checked and saw drivers going a lot faster. The state's Department of Transportation says careless driving is to blame for all of the dents and scratches.
I scratch my head sometimes trying to figure out how that was accomplished unless they used a paintbrush, but obviously it was a vehicle. It's pretty unnerving.
And listen to this, that is not the only problem. Graffiti lines a westbound barrier. The state says it doesn't cost much to fix this, but it is really frustrating.
Time is 6:34. You might want to think twice before leaving your car running in the driveway this morning. Thieves are taking advantage of drivers who just want a warm car in the winter months. Police say in November, 21 vehicles were stolen in that way here in Albuquerque. In December, it was 36 cars and trucks. That's compared to just 7 warm-up thefts in October. ABD says in most cases, insurance companies will not even cover those types of car thefts.
And it will be a tough morning for fellow students of a teen killed in a school bus crash. The driver of the bus also died after it was broadsided by a train yesterday. It happened a little before 4 yesterday in North Dakota. This picture shows where the bus was hit. Officials say the bus driver had just dropped off its first group of students when it crossed the railroad tracks before being slammed by that train.
Everybody, there were multiple ejections from the bus, 6 or 7 that we believe at this time, and everybody, all 14, were injured or a fatality on the bus.
Now, the remaining 12 were severely injured and taken to a nearby hospital. The railroad crossing is not marked with flashing lights or crossing arms. The NTSB is now investigating. A tragic turn for 2 young prospects hoping to join the U.S. ski team. 20-year-old Ronnie Burlack of New Hampshire and 19-year-old Bryce Astle from Utah were free skiing yesterday near their training base in the Australian Alps when they were caught in an avalanche. They were with a group that skied away from a prepared slope on a 9,000-foot peak, which may have set off the massive slide. 4 other skiers escaped unhurt. Temperatures were mild after days of heavy snow there.
New and developing this morning, the CEO of Tesla and founder of SpaceX were hoping to launch another mission to the International Space Station, but that liftoff was canceled at the last minute. We've been monitoring this launch all morning long. NASA halted the mission due to what they're calling an anomaly. The company was hoping to attempt to land that rocket on a floating platform, which you can see there on the left side of your screen. If SpaceX can pioneer a reusable rocket, the development could change the economics of space travel. SpaceX will try to blast off again on Friday. Similar flights are expected to take place here in New Mexico. SpaceX is preparing to launch and land some of its boosters at Spaceport America. SpaceX hopes the work in New Mexico and Florida will usher in an era of reusable rocket boosters, driving down costs. News 13's pilot Bob Martin goes in depth with what that launch, once completed, could mean for the future of space travel and for New Mexico. For a full look at that story, head on over to our website, krqe.com right now.
Time now 6:37. The weather damage to the water pipes at Carlsbad Caverns is much worse than many first thought. Park officials say at first it appeared only one section was damaged from the recent freezing temperatures. But as you can see from these photos, the water inside the metal pipes froze solid. Now, as the lines began thawing, they broke apart, wiping out the entire 6,900-foot pipeline. Though the park is still open and is working on a temporary solution, officials had approved a plan to bury the pipes in the future, but that project will take some time to complete.